If you are from St. Maarten, that's St. Maarten we're talking about, and you know the history of St. Maarten, you know the districts of St. Maarten, you know the families and all of that, then you have to know where we are with our special guest today. So before we get into our special guest, I just want to welcome all of you. Good afternoon. It's a beautiful Saturday afternoon. I'm going to say it quickly. We are here in our hometown, Middle Region. And our guest, she has a lot to say about Middle Region. And she almost wanted to kick the Richardson family out of Middle Region. But we're gonna get into that a little later on in the program. But we want to welcome all of you from all parts of the world, whether it's in the United States of America, specifically the Boston area, New York City, and Florida, Texas as well, where we have some relatives and friends always viewing us. And we go back into the Caribbean region to Trinidad and Tobago, the Commonwealth of Dominica, St. Kitts and Nevis, Sable State, Anguilla. Back to the French side of St. Maarten, I forgot to mention also Curacao, Aruba, and Bonaire, where we have a lot of friends and a lot of, I would say, viewers, loyal viewers who look at us all the time. I just want to say a shout out to Mr. Miguel Alexander. We know he's on holidays right now. I don't want to say where he is, but he's all on the next side of the world. I don't want, but he's in a beautiful city. He's having some holiday time with his family, so we just want to greet him and greet him and say thank you very much for spending some time with us a few weeks ago. But again, we want to welcome all of you for live streaming with us on our another broadcast of our Interact program. And without further ado, Jeffrey keeps watching me because he has to, he's a sportsman, so he's like baseball. He said, it's my turn to bat, Roberto, so give me my turn to bat. I'm at bat now, so I'm going to allow him to say a few words, all of you live stream viewers out there, so that we can get right into the program with our special guest.
Well, Roberto, thanks for giving me the opportunity to once more again welcome our guest. I'm not going to say who it is because I'm going to give you that opportunity to do that. But, as usual, I like to say who's the first person that came on the program.
Absolutely.
I make sure pull people out to make sure that we know who's the first viewer that came onto this Interact program. And that's none other than the famous Beverly Hyman Pantaleon. Beverly is also a media person. A talk show host. So I would like to welcome her on this program. I'm happy to have her viewing this program. And I want to say special good afternoon also to those who will be coming on later and those who will view the program after the program is already finished. Because as you know, this program is archived and persons can look at this program after it's finished already. Yes. And they have the opportunity to look at it all the time. So, we want to give you the opportunity to see it when it's finished because our guest is extremely honorable. She's a legend. She's an icon here in this country, St. Maarten. And I'm sure she's going to give you more of the information of what she contributed to this beautiful country, St. Maarten. Right. I'm going to give the floor back over to you, Roberto, who's going to continue with the interview. So take it, Roberto.
Thank you very much, Jeffrey. I couldn't hold back from also wanting to welcome Miss Beverly Ivan Pantaleon because I would say in hosting program, she's a legend.
She's a legend. She's a legend.
Knowing Beverly, doing her program.
I did a couple of shows with Beverly as well, so I know Beverly doing a lot of programs.
Those days when they had no social media,
of course,
no talk shows, and no whatever. So everybody's doing this today, but person like Beverly, who's an icon,
Oral Gibbs,
Oral Gibbs, they can say, hey, listen, they're doing this wrong, or they're doing this right, or they picked it up from me, or they didn't pick it up from me, But Beverly, we want to thank you very much for coming on. I guess this probably may be your first time, and I hope it's not your last time. We want to wish all of you a special Saturday afternoon. Thank you for being with us. We want to go to our special guest.
Yeah.
And without further ado, like we always say, everyone knows who our special guest is. We want to say good afternoon. We're at the mansion of the Gumbs Vlaun here, you know, and our guest, she's laughing, but it is a matchup because I've seen a lot of estate. The only estate probably may be bigger than the Gumbs Vlaun in Mill Region, maybe the Richardsons and the Yorks. But
the Bubba Tweeds, don't forget.
I know the Bubba Tweeds is not like, you know, so but you know, but Elain almost, you know, ran us out with her dog because she said, Roberto Jeffrey, you probably born in Middle Region, but you ain't from Middle Region. She said, you're from cul-de-sac. I said, okay, you win. But 48 years, she's gonna talk to you about all of that. So Elain Gumbs Vlaun, legend, icon, want to welcome you this afternoon to our interactive live stream program.
Thank you very much. I'm happy to be with you.
Good.
I'm happy to share whatever I can share.
It is so much to share, you know, because we were going through, we are always not always preparing because a lot of times with our special guests, they don't know what we're going to talk about. We do this impromptu. Most of the times, or sometimes we know the guests, so we can talk a little bit about their career and their history and all that. So Jeffrey, I want you to help me with Elain,
of course,
because you know,
of course, I know Elain very well
and all of that. In some areas, so where I miss out, I want you to pick right up or jump right into it because you know sometimes they can get carried away in these programs.
No, I'm gonna pull you back. Don't worry.
But you pull me back.
I'm gonna pull you back.
Yeah, but we wanna just go from the beginning. You know, we want to talk about the life of Elain Gumbs Vlaun. There's so much to talk about, and we're gonna take it in sequence and steps. You know, I got some information that I didn't know before, but I'm gonna let Elain herself talk about that because we were talking, Elain, about Down Street, Down Street, the Vlauns, Down Street, and all of that. You know, the area where we thought you grew up, but you gotta give some clarity to that because I believe that a lot of probably the pioneer families and the younger ones may not have known that, but you may be one of the only Vlauns that didn't grow up in Down Street. Is that correct to say?
I can't say didn't grow up. I lived in Down Street until I was 7 years old.
Wow.
And then I went to Aruba and had my schooling there. From there I went to Holland, and after Holland I came back to St. Martin to live.
So then, like you say, everybody seemed to be this Aruba thing all the time.
No, but you see, in those days, most of the people used to go Aruba because of the lago.
That's right. That's right.
My godmother, she always used to tell me that my father promised her because she was a young girl when I was born, when she's only like 13 years old, so was 13 years older than me. But my father had promised her that when she made 21, I could go and spend some time with her. That was when she was going to Aruba. So she picked him up on that. He had already died, but she picked him up on that. When she made 21, she came to St. Martin and went with me. And actually it was only for the holidays. But the holidays were not corresponding with St. Martin's holidays.
Okay.
I had holidays in St. Martin, but when she came for me, there were no holidays in Aruba for school. And she enrolled me in school right away.
Wow.
So, as a in a sense, she kind of kidnapped me from my family in St. Martin.
Wow.
And I spent 12 years with her.
Wow.
Yes.
You know, you said her, I guess your second mom.
Yes.
We want to know who this person is. Is she still alive and what her name is?
She passed some years ago. Her name was Violet Dest Richardson.
Oh,
so if you know Edward Dest.
I know Violet.
I know Edward Dest.
Actually, I know Violet very well because the home that they live in Point Blanche.
Yes.
I did the design for the house. I did the design for that house, so I know Violet personally. I know Edward personally as well. So I know Violet.
So I spent 12 years with them, with her and her husband in Aruba, and then from there I went to Holland to study.
Okay. So from there you went back to Holland. So basically we can't talk about how growing up in St. Martin was for you at all.
No, I can remember certain things from before I left. You know, one of the things maybe would be a surprise is that I always wanted to play steel band, and my brother John was one of the first people here playing steel band, if not the first band in St. Martin.
I remember that.
But he was like my father or our father. My father had eyes, he didn't have to speak, he looked at you and that was it. And John had the same thing. And if, you know, formerly only boys, men used to play steel pan.
Yeah.
Yes,
And
yes.
I was always a tomboy. I wanted to play steel pan, but I was dead scared to ask my bigger brother to teach me to play steel pan because
Yeah.
I know he would chase me because only boys play steel pan.
Oh yeah.
Okay, so I didn't do that. Now in my old age, I picked it up and I'm learning to play steel pan.
So very much. You know, don't speak about steel pan here on this program, you know, because we might test you and ask you to play a little tune for us. Because I saw somewhere in the house here in the living room, I saw a steel pan, so I don't know
I should have
you.
hidden it.
Yeah, because you got to make it. Because I'm sure that you know your instructor is the mighty Doe, Isidore York.
Yeah.
So he may be watching the program. He's gonna want to know. You better represent me. You better represent me. Well, we will go into that. That's all left to you. But you said that you grew up in Aruba. That's in San Nicolas,
Yes.
I assume. And then from there you moved on to the Netherlands, where I guess you studied
Social work.
social work, correct? Social work. So you know you had a background in social work. So I'm gonna get right into because there's so much we're gonna talk about. So you get into the Netherlands, you got your background, your degree, you know, in social work, social studies, and you came back to St. Maarten. What happened there? When you landed here, what did you begin to do? How did you set up your career in St. Maarten at the beginning? And what year was that?
In 69, I came back December 69. Actually, I did a kind of on-the-job training between Aruba and Curacao because, you know, here was completely different to Holland.
Okay.
Still is. But I had to get a feeling of how things were being done here. And I spent like 1 month, 2 months in Aruba and 1 month in Curacao. And then I came here in December. And I started working with the Voogdijraad, the Court of Guardianship.
Yes, yes.
I stayed there until 71, and as a matter of fact, I was the first social worker, St. Maarten born social worker on the
Wow.
island. And there was a Dutch guy, Jan Laan, he was a school teacher at Oranje School, and he was doing it in the afternoon, part-time. So he was very happy when I came that he could dedicate his time to something else. So I started doing the social work full-time.
But you mentioned that when you came into the Voogdijraad, I guess it was an established department in government. Did you come in as the head of the department at the beginning stage, or did you end up being the head of the department? And who
No, I was the
who
only
was running the
social
department
worker.
at that
I
time?
was the only one running it.
You were the only one.
Yes, one person was running the show.
So this Voogdijraad department was
a
run by
one
one person.
Yes.
But how were you handling it back in those days?
It wasn't easy, but you know, you had to wet your feet, and you had to wet them very fast. So you learned a lot, and you know the amount of problems you never expect. I never expected that there were so many problems on the island. You know, especially with men who did not want to support their children. You had court case after court case because they were not supporting their children. And as I say, in those days I was bronco. You know, I didn't used to take
Tough.
anything. So I used to threaten the men,
Wow.
and they would come and say, yeah, the woman this and the woman that, and she not taking care of the child. So how can she take care of the child if you don't help? And
Yeah.
the most they used to get was like maybe a 25 guilder because in those days people weren't making anything. I started my salary. I started out with 400 guilders. And in Holland, as a student, I was getting 600.
Imagine that. Imagine that.
I mean, you can't compare it, but 600 over there or 400 here is 600 there and 400 here. So, I had a lot of clients, very big amount of clients. Some people were very nice. Some of them realized that they had to do it. And I mean, some of us women were not easy either because the men used to give the women also directly, and they would say they didn't get anything. So I had to advise the men, in order for that not to happen, bring it here.
Bring it.
Because she has to come to sign for it and she can never say that she didn't get it. So I had those cases also. I had cases of women who would try to put out a minor because of a man. You know, men would try to trouble the children when children would complain to the parents or to the mother. She wouldn't believe them, and she would prefer the man above her child.
So that's like if the father is a stepdad.
A
for
stepdad,
example.
yes.
Yeah.
And I had those kind of cases also.
Wow.
But then more and more, besides those cases, you got a lot of cases, people who had marital problems, people who had other kind of problems, they come to you. And as I said on one of the programs, I think people thought you had a magical wand. And they could come to you when they found out that you would sit down, listen to them, you would give them advice, try to help them solve their problems. It was like everybody came, you know. I had even suggested around that time that we had hotels that you need a social worker for hotels, the big hotels, you need a social worker for the schools, you need a social worker for whatever, you know, but that fell on deaf ears. And now you can see that all over there are social workers. But in those days it was one person.
You know why you're saying that, Elain? Because I'm thinking that because you talk about back in 1969 and the early 70s and so, when St. Martin was not developed as yet, we didn't have a lot of migration, so meaning people from other countries. So you're basically talking about St. Martin father, the local St. Martin father,
Yes.
not wanting to take care of their
Not only,
responsibility.
no, we had some migrants also. Came and they felt, you know, since the woman wanted to get a child for them, that was it. That was her problem. It wasn't their problem,
Uh-huh.
you know. And one of the things that I always try to teach women in those days, because a lot of our women will lay back where the men were concerned. It's like, I have a child, I don't have any support, so I'm going to get an ex-boyfriend. Then she gets pregnant with that boyfriend, and he leaves her, and she has to look for another one. And that's how some women had so many children. It's not that they really wanted the children, but the men would tell them, if you get a child for me, or I want you to get a child for me, you know. And I remember one case where a young girl, and she came to me and she said she doesn't want any more children, but the man has to support her and his children. I said, no, he doesn't have to support you. You're not married to him. He has to support his child. She had one for somebody else. I said, he has to support his child. But he picked up and left, and he never really did look back at the child. And I told her, I said, show him that your child is going to grow up without him. Get a job. Get a job, support your child. She listened to me. And from the time she started work, she never stopped until she died.
Wow.
Because she came back and told me, she said, I'm so glad that you talked sense into my head to go and work and support my children, because I wasn't getting any help, and the little job that I had, it helped me to raise my children.
Elain, I want to back up a bit here, because this is a very interesting topic in terms of the whole supporting of the children and all that, and then the fact that at those days, you know, for whatever reason at that time, that the women would be getting children with different fathers, and the father who come in after wouldn't want to support the children that were left with that she had with another father. What would be the reason for them not wanting to support? And was it that they financially could not support, or was it some other thing that would not want it? Because when I say that, I'm thinking back on, let's say, how we grew up, and thinking of my dad. I'm thinking thinking on my grandfather, for example, and how, you know, how they trained us, you know, to take care of our children, to take care of the family and support, you know, and so whether they're your children or not your children, support all of them equally the same. Because you're the professional in that area, what really caused that? I mean, was it the behavior or the attitude of the women as well, that would have demotivated the man from wanting to take care of the child or the children?
No. I think that's change started coming to St. Martin around that time.
Okay.
The migration, people started coming in, and in that sector, for instance, is where you had a lot of those problems, because our old time St. Martin men, they could have 1,000 children that weren't theirs. Once they were the mother, they supported the whole family. And sometimes they even had the women close to each other, and all of them were living good. But it's when the other mentality came in, that's not my child, you know, so I don't have to support that child. And some women were very, very funny where that is concerned. I wouldn't doubt if we still have some of them like that. It's like, I'm getting support for this child and not for that child. So they make a distinction between the children. This one, I can treat that one well because I'm getting support for that one. That one, I'm not getting any support. They would take it out on the child. I mean, all of those things you were witnessing, and you had to really, talk to people, try to let them get a little more insight in what a family is all about, and that is not from whether a man supports your child or not. They are your children.
Was government, well, you came in as the first local social worker. What was government doing before that time? And then added to that, the community on a whole, what role was the church playing, for example? Because I'm trying to just picture back in those days, and then added to that, you try to, I think you're differentiating the fathers, let's say the local fathers, like we call, like Jeffrey and I like to call the pioneer fathers, from back in the fathers, grandfathers, great-grandfathers, in their way and how they were brought up, the responsibility of taking the children. Was it
it was instilled in them.
Yes.
It was instilled in our, let's say, what we call our local people.
Correct.
That no matter how many children you had by how many different women, that was your responsibility. I remember, and I'm sure you all heard it too, the older folks always used to tell their boy children, don't marry until you build a house. Make sure you have a house to put your wife in.
Yes.
No.
And those are the
Correct.
things that were instilled in the older folks. But then when the newer ones started coming, they started living by people, because there were no apartments, started living in houses by people and maybe a little room that would be built on. But they came with a different attitude.
So what caused that attitude to change over the years? It's very interesting. I'm curious, what caused that attitude to change, Elain? You as a professional, and you saw the whole transformation from back then back into the 80s. Or really, was it that St. Maarten was being developed rapidly in such a manner that it caused the homes not to be, let's say,
that's one of the reasons.
The two jobs and that kind of a thing?
The economic development went so fast, the social development lagged behind. And then, lots of our people follow fashion. So if
For
you
those
don't
who don't
do it, I
understand
don't
that.
have to do it.
For those who don't understand it out there, the new generation, what does follow fashion mean?
We take things from other cultures and make it ours, which is not our culture. So you see certain things with the young people and you're like, oh my goodness, in my days, it wasn't like that. In my days, I couldn't do that, In my days, I had to do this. But now you can't even tell them anything about trying to talk to them, because you're the worst person on the face of this earth, and they will tell you off, as the old people say, a minute a morning, they will tell you off. You have nothing to tell them. It's not your business, it's my business. I mean, look at the music.
I was just going to get into that.
What happened to our music? You know how happy I was, Carnival. I'm not a Carnival person. But do you know how happy I was when I saw those children playing the steel pan?
Yes.
And they played from their heart. You know how many people said that was the best band on the street? It made me feel good.
But we grew up playing steel band as well, with Chester we grew up playing with the Potram Steelers.
Exactly. So all of that everything has faded away, what is supposed to be our culture, and we have taken over pieces from different cultures and tried to make it ours. So let's say we don't have a cohesive culture anymore.
Exactly.
Our culture has been divided in pieces, and whatever piece you want to play, that's where you go.
You use the word we say follow fashion, and let's say going into following other cultures that migrated here over the decades. In your experience, because it's still the case right now, because you talk about the music, and you talk about probably the lifestyles and all of that. But what went wrong with us here on St. Maarten that we decided to just pick up everybody else's culture and forgot about own?
Well, as I said, economic development. So when you focus on one thing, and you let what was there go, automatically you're going to get a change. So we were focusing on hotels and those kind of things, on tourism, and focusing on those things, you forgot your culture. You forgot what was right from wrong.
And like you said there just earlier, to add to that, because of the rapid economic development,
Yes.
you touched on the fact that a lot of our parents, grandparents, so they were forced to even have two jobs, for example, two jobs, and those two jobs had them not able to let's say have the culture of the land live on, because they were so caught up into these two jobs and making a living for their family as well. So that was so much of a distraction that somewhere there we lost our culture while
Not
we
the
were having
older ones, let me put it that way. The
Not the
older
older
ones
ones.
didn't lose it that easily, but the younger generation. So the
Okay.
same person who had two jobs, his or her children were the ones who were prone to take over something else. Because you were working two jobs for them, so they had life much easier than you. They had more time
so
to
those,
spend for themselves, on themselves.
Okay, so you affirming, because when you said the younger ones at that time, I can almost picture in my mind those that were born in the early 60s, late 50s, coming up in their so they were in their early 20s at that time, in the 70s. And those that didn't move on, to further their studies, they stayed here, and then they got into the hotel,
Yes,
the casino
yes.
jobs, and all of that. And they were the ones that lost track. Not let's say not to say our grandparents.
No, no, no. It was the younger generation at that time. As you say, maybe they had children who were 20 years or older,
Yeah.
and they were still holding on more or less to what they learned at home. But they're their children, right?
Yes.
I mean, you see, even parents now don't even worry with their children when they're ready. You know, they make sure they have food on the table, they have a roof over their head, they have a bed to sleep on,
Yeah.
and otherwise, they're working now, sometimes more than two jobs, to try to support their children, seeing the cost of living. Some of them do it because they care. Others do it because they want to have a better life, which is not bad. But some of them do it, you don't know if it's a lack of responsibility or what. I have seen young people, they work, they get their salary today, 2 days after they don't have a cent. And it's not even that they have a family, so to say. Maybe one child. What happened with that money? You see a person walking with braids in their hair, long nails. That's what they spend their money on.
Yeah. I was gonna ask you that. I know the time is moving so fast. There's so many things we want to talk to you about. But I want to ask you, as a professional social worker, I'm sure that even up to now, as you're retired, you're following the developments in St. Maarten over the decades. How would you compare this area of your profession in terms of have it deteriorated, or have we improved, based on the fact that we have a lot more young professionals in the field of social studies, etc.? Would that be a reason to say that things have improved, or would you say things have gotten even more out of hand?
The latter.
Out of
Even
hand.
though you have more people, it has gotten more out of hand. And one of the things that is the reason for that is respect. We were taught to respect any and everybody. Children, I'm not saying all children, but there are certain children that have absolutely no respect, not even for their own parents. I hear with my own ears how children speak to their parents,
Yeah.
with the dirty words in it. But what happened? What happened? What I noticed when I was working as a young social worker, Roberto is going to come in with his little son of 3-4 years,
Yeah.
and the child does something wrong. Roberto is just going to laugh it off,
That's correct. You
right?
got
Or
it
even
right.
say something wrong,
Mm-hmm.
and you still have it. People laugh when children do wrong things. As children 2, 3, 4 years old, you don't correct them.
And they even say, like, it's the
But
cute,
when
you
they're,
don't know.
when
Then
they're
they-
12 and 13, then they're out of hand, and you
that's
can't
right.
you can't do anything
Then
anymore.
you're trying to correct them.
All those years, you let them do what they wanted to do. So that is one of the things, is that the discipline at home. I have not seen to beat children. Yeah, my children got 1 or 2 claps from me, but nothing to talk about.
They didn't have to because of how you raised them.
Emmanuel used to call me the preacher. We had 1 television in the house.
Yes.
So when they got punishment, in your bedroom, 2 children, 1 in each bedroom, that's your punishment. Now that was at that time the worst punishment you could give a child. Get in your bedroom. Half an hour after, they're still crying.
Today's the best punishment because when they go in with their cell phone.
Exactly.
And
They have television, they have their cell phone, they have
so they're
laptop.
happy, of course.
So they are happy to get that kind of
Yes.
punishment.
Oh yes.
And
oh,
those
yes.
are things, I tell parents, take those things away from them as punishment. Our children can't read anymore. They can't spell anymore. They can't do arithmetic anymore because everything is done electronically. They can just tap and get everything. I'm not saying that it's bad, but I always say technology is good, but it's also bad. If you use it correctly, it's good. My children, when they were in the 5th grade, the girl was in the 5th grade, the school wanted the parents to buy calculators for them. I refused. I told them at the school, I said, you can give everybody else in the 5th grade a calculator. My child is not using a calculator. My child brain is just developing. And you're going to stop it?
Mm-hmm.
You see, if you tell me that the child has to use a calculator in secondary education, so let's say the second half of the sixth grade, you're going to teach them how to use a calculator, fine. But not 2 years before. Those children can barely read and write. And you're going to you make them use calculator to just stunt their brains? No.
Elain, I'm listening to you here carefully, and I'm kind of getting the impression, not because I don't know, because I'm a parent myself and I follow what's going on. Can things really change from where it was? What would be, as a professional, and that's my last question, because I want to go into the other areas with you, because I know Jeffrey want to jump in. I know.
I just want to say a special good afternoon to my mom, who's looking at it, Elizabeth Richardson.
Yes, good afternoon, Elizabeth.
And Minerva Richardson, our cousin Roberto, Svetlana Vanterpool,
yes, she's
which is Frankie Vanterpool's daughter.
Okay.
Cornice Vanterpool as well. You're supposed to know Cornice.
Yes.
And Rabbi Oswin Adrich.
Okay.
Yeah, and Nicole De Weaver as well. I want to say special good afternoon. That's your niece. Yeah. I want to say special good afternoon to and Evalina Vanterpool.
Where's Nicole? She's in Maarten?
No, she's in the States.
United States.
And also Patrick Hyman. I'm supposed to know Patrick Hyman.
Patrick Hyman. Okay.
Yeah.
Very good. So Elain, if you were, I think on parents, I'm thinking on government, I'm thinking on the social workers in that area, I'm thinking on the church, I'm thinking on the community councils and all of them coming together, but we talk about that all the time. Is it really possible for us to bring all these entities together to make this work, to bring about change, not only in St. Maarten, but any other part of the world? Is it possible, or do we have to accept that this is a transformation of how the world is going forward, progressing, and it's just something that we have to just live with and accept?
In a sense, I think you will have to accept it, but that doesn't mean that you can't do something. If we, as you know, what's her name? Who was that? Was it Hillary Clinton or one of them said it takes a village?
Oh, to bet. It takes a village to raise a child.
Yes.
I forget who said that.
I think it was Hillary Clinton. Not
Hillary Clinton.
Okay.
Hillary Clinton.
But anyway, I believe in that. And that is what used to happen with us when we were younger, when we were growing up. It took the village to raise the child. Many a time we got punished from our parents, and our parents didn't used to punish us, send you to bed. Blows.
I like it, blows. You know, you like you said, and every time you say the last.
I always tell people 5 minutes to 8, the school bell used to ring in town. Put on your school. 8 o'clock, there was a second bell.
That's
and
right.
That's when school
Yeah.
started.
You better be.
Yeah.
That's right.
You had to run
In
from
between
5 to 8 until 8 o'clock. Between those 5
To get to your
minutes,
class.
That's your space.
you had to, now, let's say your late father is on the road and you're not seeing him. You're not seeing him because you're focused. You have to reach the school.
Correct.
When you reach home 1 o'clock from school, you know what's waiting for you?
Oh Lord, blow.
You don't know because you haven't even seen him.
He saw
But
you.
he saw you and you passed without greeting.
Yeah.
So when you reach home, you pass this person without telling them hello. Blah, blah, blah. No questions asked. No questions asked. That's how it was. I tell a lot of people, you didn't know how the news used to reach. There was no internet.
No.
But the news would
No
reach
cell phone
faster
either.
than internet. And the people were allowed to give you a clap if you didn't greet them or anything. They were allowed to hit you. They were allowed to punish you. So it took the whole village was actually looking at each other's children.
Yeah.
I couldn't not tell my neighbor hello, even if my father or my mother wasn't speaking to the neighbor. I dare not pass that neighbor without telling them hello. That would make them speak again.
Coming back on this whole topic and the direction it's taken in terms of what is possible and what is not possible. One of my I would say he's like my big brother is a Dutch friend of mine, living in the Netherlands. We did a lot of work together, and we shared a lot in terms of the combination of the Dutch Caribbean country, the islands, versus the Netherlands, in terms of the size of population. And one of the things that he said to me, because the back and forth from the Netherlands and especially St. Maarten, where we were doing a lot of different work and projects and stuff like that. In the Netherlands, like, again, I'm saying it in St. Maarten. He said to me, Roberto, he said it up to 2 weeks ago. He said, listen, it is possible in your small community of St. Maarten, where the population is small, to still bring about the changes that you guys talk about, than for us in the Netherlands with 17 or 20 million people. He said we can do so much more together, and he was talking about him and I and all that we set out to do then and still now. He said we can do so much more for St. Maarten or Curaçao or Aruba or Sable Station, Bonaire, because of the small population that we were not able to do anymore for the Netherlands because it's basically lost because of the magnitude of the population. So he was saying that the concentration should be more in, let's say, trying to save these small islands that is still salvageable than some of these big countries that, where it is completely out of hand, like the United States of America as well. What is your take on that?
It's possible to start small. You can't start big and say the community council, island government, this one, that one, the other one. You have to start with two. You get two groups together who have the same ideology, the same focus, and you start with them.
Two groups. Who are you referring to?
Any group. Where is a community center and another
Okay,
group.
and in that
sense, yes.
Or the church?
Or a church, whatever.
Okay.
Yeah. You get those people who are willing to work together and who are seeing what has to be done and what should be done.
Within the community.
You get them started, and you keep bringing in more.
But along with the parents, that's
yes,
it.
of course, with everybody.
Along with the
Everybody.
parents.
Not children alone, not parents alone. Actually, the parents are the first ones who have to learn, but you can teach children at the same time.
Uh-huh.
So you work on all fronts.
So Elain, you're saying then that, because we didn't talk about government, we didn't touch on the government at all.
The government has a big role to play.
Of course, but the way you sing it, you're talking about the bottoms-up approach. You're saying, hey, if we can improve things down there at the beginning stage, government can be more effective. That is basically what you're trying.
One of the wrong things that we are doing is trying to do everything from top down, top down.
Correct.
Okay.
Okay, I am telling, and it's something that it hurts me sometimes to see the boys. You don't see too many of them on the block anymore because lots of them, when they get punished or so, they get a little job and they keep it. But why should I impose on those young boys what I want for them? I should go and talk to them to find out what they want to do with their lives. And then from there you start, okay, you want to do carpentry? All right, I'm going to try check somebody for you who can help you to learn the trade. Or a company or something, give you a break. But you have to be willing to work. As I said on a program too, there was a young boy around here and he wanted to go to Holland. And he told me he wanted to go to Holland. I said, you can't go to Holland with what you're doing now.
That's right.
Yeah, you have to pull up your socks. You have to pull up your socks first. You have to show that you're willing to go clean, you are willing to work, willing to learn, and then you can go. Well, 3 years after, I saw him, because I hadn't seen him for a long time. He said, Mom, I was in Holland and I came back to see my family and I'm going back. He got through.
He got through, but got through because
On his own.
So did he change? Did he
Yes.
took your advice?
He took the advice. He tried to stop hanging out with the boys, pulled away from them, got a job, saved enough money, went to Holland.
It worked. It worked for him.
So it can work for anybody. Once you are willing to put your time and effort into it, it can work. That's why I'm saying, start with those people who are down there.
You know,
Not top. I don't want to be in government and say, I want to do this program for these children.
You started to take me exactly where I wanted to go with you, Elain. I'm so happy you said that because I want to end this topic on that point. And I use the term like this is decentralizing because it's like a governmental term, let's say. But would you say, and would you agree that it is better to take a lot of these funds, let's say, out of the ministries of government and put them into the communities where they can be more effective by way of the community council and community organizations, foundations? So instead of having, whether it's $1 million guilders on a ministry of social affairs or whatever, take probably
Part of that,
maybe even half of that,
put it
into the communities and allow them then to really bring effective change into the communities. Would you believe that that would be the direction to go? Would be more effective then?
I believe that, and I'm going to tell you, one of the dreams of me was these young people who are just loitering all over the place. We try to get them together with those organizations. Talk to them. What are you doing with your life? Why are you doing it? What would you want to do with your life? You see, the youth brigade years ago, it was supposed to be different. I had suggested at that time with the youth brigade, get the young people and ask them what they want. You want to become a nurse? You want to become a carpenter? You want to become an electrician? Okay, we're going to put you in one of those sections where you can learn. Put them there for 3 months. Maybe after 3 months they say, that's not for me. Okay, they don't want to be anyway. Let's try carpentry. You got? Until they find their niche. And when they say, okay, this is what I really like, then you start with programs for the group to teach them. Or put them in a place where they can learn. So don't just tell them, we have this kind of program if you're interested. No, they don't know what they want. When you go to study, you don't really know what the study is all about.
Never.
How many students didn't change?
You change their careers?
Yeah. You expect young people who don't even know what life is to know what they want in life.
No.
Let them try out different things, even if it's 3 months. Give them an opportunity. 3 months here, 3 months here, 3 months here. If you do it, let's say after a year, then you get them back together again. Okay, you had that. Which is the one that you would like to pursue? Or is there nothing in those 4 that you would like to pursue? Let us try something. In the meantime, you're keeping them busy. You're keeping them off the street. You have them off the street a whole year already. And that alone is a change. Because they're not hanging out all day, smoking up their hair or troubling people, going to steal and stuff. So you already started a change.
Elain, we got shift here, because I'll be honest with you, and I mean this very seriously, because here I am sitting to you not just as family, friend, but more so I'm talking to you as professionals and non-professional who has, as we say, have so much, still so much more in your tank to give to St. Martin. I ain't talking to Jeffrey. Are you talking to a retired person here?
No.
I don't hear someone who's retired talking
I'm learning.
to me here.
I'm learning.
You know, it's so much we're like sponges trying to, and I'm hoping that probably the government of St. Martin, even the ministers, can be listening, especially probably even the Prime Minister, the Minister of Social Affairs, because there's so much fund that is available in the millions, and sometimes you feel as if the monies are not going into the right projects or not given to the right organization, the people, because everybody all of a sudden wants to get funds and they feel it, but they don't know the situation.
Exactly.
They don't know the community. They don't know, but then they come in and then you have sometimes people from in no problem with whoever from outside of the country, but they don't know St. Martin, Elain. They don't know St. Martin's. When they come, they do the job, they get their income, but then there's no passion and no love for the country, for the people, because you didn't grow up here. So those are some of the things that needs to be addressed. But I see you here. You want to jump on that, but we need to shut that off, because we got to get into other areas, Elain.
Before you go into other areas, I just want to welcome some other persons on the program. Jacqueline Godet, our good friend from Aruba.
Yes.
MP Claudius Boncamper.
But Jacqueline Godet is in St. Martin.
Is in St. Martin,
St. Martin.
Chrissy Lake, Maureen Peterson. I'm sure that you know Maureen very well.
My cousin.
Your cousin, yeah. And Victor Richardson. Victor Richardson, I think, is a Calypsonian as well. Yeah, Victor.
It's a genius.
Genius, yeah.
Genius.
And Sunshine Prissa and Julian Rolox Jr.
Yeah, like you say Jacqueline Godet. I also would like to address Ms. Jacqueline Godet as the president of the St. Martin Christian Party, which is also important to mention. You touch on also Mr. Julian Rolox Jr. as well. These are all folks that can make a difference. Whether they, president of the political party or they are candidate, Mr. Julian Rolox Jr. He's vying for the upcoming parliamentary election, just as myself. And so it is very important for us to be able to interact with programs. So just to listen to someone as competent, as experienced as you are, Elain, to be able to give us and share so much valuable information with us. We want to bring you back on a second program, a second series where we just want to talk about this alone. But we need to go into a lot of who Elain Gumbs Vlaun represents. And I wanted, before we go into the other areas, we want to talk about your family quickly, from the Vlaun side, and then from your late spouse, the Gumbs side, while we're here sitting in Millridge. So just give us a little bit of history on that. If I may, Jeffrey, I'm sure I'm going in the right sequence. So just give us a little bit of history of the Vlauns and the Gumbs, and down. Well, you can't talk about down the street, but middle region. Give us a little sub stories, and so you can move on into some other areas.
Well, let me start by beginning. I was born in a family of 8, 5 girls and 3 boys in town.
Yes, down street.
And I started school here really at Oranje School, but then, as I told you, my godmother went with me, and I had my schooling in Aruba basically. And then I came back here, worked at a Vegrat for 2 years, went to Curacao, worked there for like 4 years, and then came back again to St. Martin. Ever since then, I've been in St. Martin.
I wanted to get to you actually, like how was it your family? I want to talk about your family because I think your eldest brother John,
yes.
And then you go right up, but there's some famous family, so I want to talk a little bit about them.
My name is Delita. She's still alive in Curacao.
Okay.
And then it was Sadie and John.
Sadie and John, correct.
Philly,
Noni,
Julie, Elain.
So maybe Philly is older than Loni?
Yes.
Okay, and then after Loni, then you have
Julie,
Julie,
and then you,
and then
Bobby.
you, and then Bobby.
Yeah, so Bobby
Any-
was
Julie
eventually-
older than you.
Yes.
Yeah, so any little stories about growing up with them, or even when you guys became adults, any little, I wouldn't want to say secrets, but anything that you can say about, let's say, Lonnie, or about even, Sadie, or John,
We have
or
always
any,
been very close.
how was the
That
relationship with them? How was the
generation-
relationship with them?
Very close.
That age,
Yes.
the siblings are very close,
Very close.
So, I mean, we have our jokes. You get a little mad at one once in a while, but it never lasts.
Yeah.
You just say what you have to say and it's finished, But there's nothing in particular, nothing in particular really that you can really laugh about. My mother was sometimes a joker in the family.
Ask about your mom. Yeah.
Yeah, she was a sweetheart.
Oh yeah.
I think my mother was one of the loveliest people on the face of this
Of
earth.
course, yes.
We always-
We used to go and have a lot. We used to
We
go
always
and
get the
tell
house.
people my mother used to pick up every stray dog on the street and feed them.
That's true.
The
That's
minute
true.
you reached by my mother, whether she had it for herself or not, my heart, you had something to eat already?
Correct,
That was the
correct,
first
correct,
question.
correct.
Everybody was her heart. My
Cook for
heart.
everybody.
Yeah, and she always taught us where 9 eat, 10 can also eat. You just take
Wow.
a spoonful from every plate and make a 10 plate.
You don't
You don't get that anymore.
Our mother just
Oh, very seldom.
our mother do. She's still the same way. Cooking.
Your mother.
Putting up,
Yeah, yeah,
cooking,
yeah.
cooking. You can't
No,
tell
but
her.
you see,
Mine
that's what
cooking
I'm
too
telling
much,
you.
but
The older generation, I consider myself now the older generation, right?
Okay.
After my mother and father, we are the older generations now. We are not the young people anymore. So we grew up like that. You share. Whatever you have, you share. The value of things. Never envy anybody for what they have. You don't know how to
Exactly.
right?
Yeah.
Those kind of things. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Manners take you around the world.
That's right.
All of those things, I taught them to my children too.
Yes.
If they wanted to take it or not, it's up to
Yes,
them. But my
yes.
son tells me, up to now, he said, Mommy, the things that you told me, I try to teach my children too. Because they're valuable. So I'm happy with that. That at least he listened.
Yes.
It stayed between the ears, and he's, passing it on to his children. Even though his children are a complete different generation,
That's right,
growing
yes.
up in a complete
That's
different
right.
place, but he's trying to pass on those values to his children. And I think if we really try those things with our children, I think we can start saving. Let me put it that way, start saving.
I want to ask you, about your late husband, Emmanuel. If you are able to just talk about the relationship in the sense of, because he's who brought you to Millvision. He dragged you out of Phillipsburg down the street and bring you Millvision. That was a good thing. So you know our hometown, But how was the Gumbs family, your husband Emmanuel and
I had
all
and
of
still
them?
have a good relationship with his side of the family. I mean, right now it's only one brother left, Hamilton.
Hamilton.
Yes.
Yeah, that's true.
Passed away.
Yeah.
Passed away.
Yeah.
His sister was the first one to pass, then Amos, then Slim.
Amos,
and
yeah,
then
yeah.
Emmanuel. So my relationship with them was very good. Very good. His grandmother, she was the next one.
But what was his mother? His mother used to call her something.
Miss Charlie.
Miss Charlie.
Miss Charlie. What was yes.
This is you a big.
Charlie, you're a toy,
I always
Miss Charlie.
envisioned her being taller than Emmanuel.
Yeah.
Yeah? She was tall.
My mother.
To be taller than Emmanuel, boy, that was really tall.
And very erect. She
Erect.
Yes.
Tray on her head. And
Yes.
those old people used to be very erect when they were walking.
And tough too,
Oh,
tough
yes,
and very.
oh, yes. Life wasn't easy.
But you knew her?
I knew her, yeah. She died in
Okay.
76.
Oh, 76.
76, wow.
She gave me the name Lean. The whole family called me Lean. She gave me that name.
Okay. So then we're gonna jump again to another topic, Elain, because time is moving fast.
Yeah.
Jeffrey's always.
And I want to say hello to our cousin in Curacao, Ricardo Brooks. I don't know if Elaine knows him. You remember Wellington Brooks, our
I
uncle?
know his children.
Well, his child, his oldest child. Sadie is his mother.
Yes, Ricardo.
Yeah.
One of us cousins, uncle
Right.
Wellington, son.
I knew
He's a
Wellington,
police
yes.
officer in.
He's a police officer in the Curacao.
He's a police officer for a lot of years in Curacao.
Yeah, yeah.
He followed the footsteps of his dad.
His dad, yeah.
So we want to say hi to all of you, cuz hi to you as well. Like I say, bon tardi.
Bon tardi.
Bon fin de semana to those you Corsao, But come back to your career, Elain. I want to jump right into your political career because I know you grew up in the Methodist Church.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So you're in the Methodist Church. So how did, because I want to build it up to the political aspect of it, to the Methodist Church, to the late Vance James Jr. I mean, what is the link there in terms of you getting into politics? And was it an individual?
It was not
No.
via the church. We had a group here with Morgan Scott, Edgar Lynch. We used to meet at the school in Colby, Lionel Connor School.
Yeah, is that part of the Whipham or is it?
The Whipham came out
Whipham?
of that.
Because all that used to run with the Whipham. You went a few times to the Whipham out of
The
that.
Whipham
Yes.
came out of that.
Oh,
We were a bunch of young people who had just returned from Holland.
From Holland,
From
correct.
Holland.
That's right.
And we
That's
wanted
right.
to see what we could contribute
Yeah.
to better
Yes.
the situation
Yeah,
in St.
I remember
Martin.
that.
Just
I
before
remember
just before the SPM.
Yeah, the Whipham was first.
Correct. Correct.
Morgan was first.
That's
Yeah.
right.
What happened is when we started, it reached the ears of the politicians.
The powers. The powers.
Yes. And we were labeled the Black Panthers.
Uh-huh. Okay.
A bunch of
Oh,
black children.
yeah.
So when you go away, you
The
were even
troublemakers, the
screaming.
black, the
You were
bad
screaming
egg, the
because
troublemakers.
yes, we were the troublemakers. And it all started out. We said, we went somewhere where you don't have outhouse. That's the whole thing that started it. We wanted to see where we could try to see if we can change outhouse into the flush toilets and things like
Yes,
that
yes.
within the house and the showers.
Correct.
That's how it started. So we used to have meetings once a week, every evening, pool your ideas together and so. But it reached to the higher powers, and we were upset. And Morgan was the one who took the bold step. He went into politics. And after that, we were still talking, and politics plus what we can do. But it never came off the ground because of pushback. Anything that we said or we tried to do was bad because it was not correct at that time for anybody else than the powers to be doing things. So Morgan went into politics first, and then we continued talking, and that's when we started. Friday, Gibson, everybody got involved, and that's how the SPM started.
So then you say, who pulled you into the SPM? Because you said,
Vance.
was it Vance or Leo Friday?
No,
or
Vance.
So Vance himself
Yes.
is the one who approached you.
We talked a lot about it, and he asked me if I would be willing to go on this. And that's how I went.
Did you resist or did you?
Well, I had to talk it
Quickly.
over. I was married already, so I had to talk it over. I just couldn't say yes or no. So my man said, if you want to try it, give it a try.
Okay.
And that's how I went in.
And the Flans were okay with it.
Yeah, they were okay with it. They said it's all right if I wanted to do it. It was okay. It was my decision, really, on both sides, his side and my family side.
Wow.
So that's how I got involved. And one of the things that made me want to do it is like, you had nothing against people who were there in politics, but I had a lot against what and how things were being done. That somebody can go into the administration building and say, well, Jeffrey, I need this, and it's signed, and it was, no. I got trouble for that because I used to send them back. I wouldn't send the people back. But that was, for instance, when I started doing the social welfare.
Oh yeah, and that's a serious, that's a
You get
department
a
that.
paper with one signature on it.
I
As I
know.
said, I was
I know
Ropo in those days.
exactly what you're talking about.
So I would send it back, neatly done, a neat little letter. I'm only seeing one signature on this paper. And I would get it back with two signatures because in those days it was 3 people. We'll get it back with
Okay,
2 signatures.
I understand. And I know exactly. I see where you're coming from. Yeah. But in those days, that one signature was basically the two
decision.
signatures. Yeah,
Yes.
because you know that if it was one, it would be two, it would be three.
No,
So
but you see, you
becomes
have to
the
learn things had to
relationship.
be done in the correct way.
Good
Correct.
governance. Good governance. Again.
Good
Good
governance.
And
governance.
if Elain, who was Bronco in those days, had to be the donkey to give the kick, Elain did it.
But then with the Elain, everybody knows Elain Gumbs Vlaun, and we know your personality, and you're always cool, quiet, collective. You're not the bully
Don't
type.
trust
You're
him.
not the.
Don't trust Elain.
Okay. okay. You give me the like.
She scared me.
No,
You say.
cool, calm, and collective.
Don't trust
Don't let me
Elain.
be too cool.
You say that I'm not cooperating them. So that part of you is
When I'm
like
too
I'm gonna be
cool-
quiet and cool, but you ain't getting my signature.
Then when I'm too cool and I'm talking to you like nothing happened, when a lot has happened and you know a lot has happened, put on your gloves.
Wow. So you had incidents where incidents where but in this case I'm not talking about I'm talking about when you were the head of the Department of Social Welfare. I'm sure you've had situations where you were challenged by, let's say, the powers that be to do things that you know was not in accordance with good governance. What would you do then? I mean, would you resist or accept not to sign off on something? And then would it still be possible that above your head it could still be approved? Because there was no policy, so
No, even if we knew better, let's say in the office, that something would not be possible, and we sent it in as such, and it was still given.
So even with a negative advice,
Yes.
let's say
It was
still it can still be overturned by the executive council. Let's say
Yes,
back in those
exactly.
days to do it, and you see the same thing happening right now too, where even when there is let's say a negative advice by a ministry,
Mm-hmm.
you still see at times ministers still overturning it in a program. So
I
is
think
that
once-
in accordance with good governance? You would say,
No, once
Elain?
once I got it's not in accordance with good governance, but once I got so upset, I walked into the governor's office, and the secretary was there, and I told him I'm going by the governor. He said, "You have an appointment?" I said, "No, I don't need one." Bap, bap, bap. And I went inside.
Walk in, you walk in.
Yeah, I was very upset, and I
Oh.
told him what I had to say, and I said I came in through that door. You have this door. You know there were two doors.
Yeah, of course.
You
Yeah,
were sitting
I-
in the next door to the side.
Yes, yeah,
I
yeah.
came in through that door. You can send me out through that door.
And I know the door you're talking about.
No, but it was really a door.
Of course,
But
I
I
know,
meant
I
the door
know.
in two ways. So you can send me out through that door.
I understand what you
Looked at
mean.
me, He said, Elain, go back to your office and do what you have to do. Because I was
he
so
wasn't going to challenge you and challenge the flaws.
No, but not that. But he knew.
He knew where
when
you
I
were coming from.
explained
What you
him
were-
what
yes,
was
the
what.
point you were making.
Exactly.
He
said,
understood.
Just go back to your office and do what you have to do.
Okay, yeah.
I didn't go to the person who did anything. I went straight to the head of the fountain.
Yeah, the governor.
I went straight to the governor. I wasn't afraid of any of them.
Who's actually supervising the decisions that are taken? That's
Exactly. Exactly.
I
I mean,
understand.
it is to show you. I mean, I have mellowed so much now that it isn't funny.
No.
But still, I have my streaks.
Yeah, I'm saying, but you're still Elain. But it's so interesting, because we're building on your. Because I'm almost seeing your career in my mind and picturing what motivated you to go from one thing to the next. Because the way how you're explaining it, it's basically making you being able to predict what's gonna happen next, based on what's gonna happen next. So would it be fair to say that to you that being in government as a civil servant and watching things go the way they went, not being happy with the St. Martin's and Island territory and the procedures, etc., and then you being approached by the late Van Ziem Jr. to run for office, where you can be able to, on another level of government, let's say politically, make a contribution to change. Did you feel then that was your motivation then to run for office?
the change, yes. The things like what I explained that were being done, that it was not correct. Those things that were not done in the correct way, those are things that made me really decide, go in there and see. But when you're in there, it's different than when you're outside.
Absolutely, I got to say that. Exactly.
You know, when you think you can do something, you get so many blows that throw you back that you can't really do exactly what you want to do. And I was disappointed. I'm saying I was disappointed.
Wow.
So over your career politically, you're saying you were disappointed in the sense that you probably thought that with, let's say,
putting effort into something that you would
would help to
achieve
make
something for the
change,
country. You know?
And you still,
but some of us didn't have that feeling or that vision that change was necessary. We felt that it had to remain the way it was. Up to now, you have people. It should remain how it always used to be.
So then you're saying, Elain, because I'm going with you because I know exactly that time back, because I work with government, I know exactly where you're coming from. So you're basically saying that when you evaluate it all back from then, where we may have thought was the problem and we could make the change, and when we come into office ourselves, we see the reality of the culture of what is playing in front of us. We get caught up in the same culture, and we get caught up doing the same thing, and then at a given moment, it is not a point of saying it is you, blame you, but all of us have to be blamed because none of us have been able to make that change because of the reality of the culture. Is that a good way of assessing it?
I don't think so. I don't think you can say that you get caught up in it. Because even if you're caught up in it, you can still do different.
Yes.
And let the catching up be from the outside, not by you.
But if you're sitting, even let's say if you're sitting in a government with colleagues, that why you want to be that change and make that change, then there's no cooperation from the very same people that you felt came with the same
then it doesn't make sense.
Vision.
It doesn't make sense being there then. Then I would say, well, get out.
So you're basically saying then that's the reason why you really got out. I understand.
You know, the cooperation was not what it was supposed to be, and you're seeing it now even stronger. It is me, and I, and that's killing us. That attitude. If I can give a suggestion and say, well, you know, if you do that XYZ, you can get XYZ out of it for the country. No, man.
Yeah.
And because it comes from Elain, it's not good.
Yeah.
But you're going to lie down in a draw for 10 years, and 10 years after somebody is going to come in and rah, rah, rah.
Yeah. Or they might even not come, but they might come with something different. So Elain, back to your political career, you know, I'm not going into all the details. Do you regret running for office?
No, I learned a lot. I learned a lot that was not correct. Let me put it that way. That was not being done correctly. You know, and if I really had a hand in it, that let's say Elain single-handedly could have changed certain things, I think I would have changed certain things.
Then that leads me to the next question. Was it a decision by, I would say, Elain Gumbs Vlaun, the politician, the former island council lady, former commissioner? Was it a decision? You said you stepped out of it, up to the political arena, and you never looked back.
It's not that I wasn't asked. I was asked to come back, but I refused.
I wanted to get to that point. So you were asked to come back.
Yes, I refused.
But you refused.
Yes.
So you felt it was.
Actually, you know, sometimes you would think that you're wasting your time. You could be doing something better. But you're wasting your time fighting a battle and not getting anywhere.
So is that the same position that you hold even right now?
I think a lot of them are holding that position now, because when they're outside on the podium telling you all what they're going to do, I listen sometimes and say, I was like that too, you know. I was going to do this and I was going to do that too. But they ended up I couldn't do it. because of the forces. And then when they reach in there, they realize that they can't do certain things that they want to do. But together with that, we have a lot of us are on it. So with what you say you're going to do, and that's bad.
Coming back, because we should catch a lot of things from you. We're a country in Maarten right now, so that means we don't have commissioners, we have ministers, but you look at it, it's almost the same thing in a way when it comes to procedures or policy, but in a different way. When I look at you and your background professionally, the two ministries that come to mind would be VSI, which is Labor and Social Affairs.
Yes.
As well as the Ministry of Education, Culture, Sport,
Youth and Sports.
Youth.
Yeah.
Those two ministries would be the areas that you would be able to hit the ground running in terms of being able to function right away. If you were asked right now, let's say after the next parliamentary election, you call in, let's say by a political party who have been elected to office, and they're in a coalition and are not asking you to hold a position of a minister in those specific areas because of your experience and knowledge, etc. Would that be something that Elain Gumbs Vlaun would accept, or she
I
would?
wouldn't even contemplate on accepting anymore.
And would it have to be because you feel you're retired, or would it have to do because you
No.
feel that it doesn't make any sense?
I am thinking a lot of the attitude of people right now. The attitude is very negative, I find. As I said just now, there's a lot of egoism going on. If it doesn't come from me, it's not good.
So the egoism going on by whom? By whom?
Quite a few who are in government.
So
Okay. You're fighting, how do you say, tegen windmolens vechten?
yeah.
Yeah.
You fight against the wind.
Tegen de windmolens.
You fight against yes. In saying that, I always like to say, I like to ask the difficult questions, and I appreciate that you're answering all of them to Elain. The changes of political generations, and we talked about that even off camera before. And I said that we were going to ask you that, Jeffrey. Am I correct? Sorry.
No, go ahead. After you finish, I have a question.
You have a question? Good.
Of course.
How do you compare, let's say, this generation of politicians versus the politicians of your time? So let's say, how would you compare, let's say, if you were to go into Parliament right now, putting William on MP William Marlin, MP Sarah Westcott Williams on one side because they are the most senior. Then you have George, for example, George Pontiflet, MP George Pontiflet. Let's say the three of them. Okay, Hyacinth is a little younger, but he's back from those days too. And you put the younger MPs on the other side. What is your take on that? And what would be your? If I were to ask you, how would you make? What are the comparisons? Their way of functioning and did it benefit? How would they contribute to the benefit of the people of St. Maarten?
I wouldn't even want to reach there yet. I would like to go a step backward. Because everybody who is running for politics, not everybody, let's say the younger generation, how many of them know our constitution?
Yeah. Good point. Very good point.
I feel now, if I say, at my age, if I say I want to go into politics, I better know the constitution. And anybody who wants to go on a list, get them together, get somebody, teach them the constitution of the country. Before you even think of postulating yourself as a candidate.
And even if you don't, like you said, like you said, and even if you don't know the constitution, which you can, it's the government Bible, let's so to speak. Have the constitution next to you.
Exactly.
I just this morning I was writing an article on a specific subject matter, and I had the constitution next to me. And I realized that if you want to contribute, how should I say, in accordance with proper governance, etc., you would have to have the constitution in front of you so that you can be able to make refer and say Article 6 that states up. Otherwise, you will just be blowing wind out of your mouth. So you're saying that a lot of those who are elected to office it seems as if they don't know the
That's the
Constitution.
impression I get. That's the impression I get. I hope it's not so, but that's the impression I get.
Now, then
You know?
it should be so, because me.
And I think not even those who are postulating themselves, but aspiring young
Yes,
young
candidates, yes, young
candidates
politicians.
who are not even yet ready to go into politics, but they would say like, well, in the next couple of years, I think I might go into politics. But not now. I'm not ready for it.
When you say that let's say that that's the correspondent. When you say that it's because some of these aspiring young politicians who don't understand politics, let's say they don't know the Constitution, all of those things, is it because they are motivated by who they are seeing getting elected, and they're saying, if he could get elected or she could get elected, I could get elected too, so I'm going to run for office? Would that be a way to analyze it?
Yes. And there's another part of it too. You have a big family, so if you run,
That's
your
another
family
thing
will
too.
vote for you.
Yes, that's another thing too.
You can be as dumb as the sole of my shoe, but you know. But I
it's
have a
also-
big family.
So this popularity thing,
Yes.
but a lot
And
of
that's-
parties.
I used to tell people, Elain, Gumbs Vlaun, I like you. I said, don't vote for me because you like me. Vote for me if you think I might be able to do something for the country.
Correct.
I used to tell them
Correct.
point blank.
Yes.
You know, I don't want a wasted vote.
While you're on that topic, Elain, you did very well at the election. I say, Jeffrey, because you know,
Of
you've
course.
seen it, you're always tracking the numbers.
Man, check all the numbers.
We recall back even in those days when it was very difficult for one to get, I think, 400 and something.
She had 400 and something votes.
You were able to.
Yeah.
I
to-
had put the very first time that I went, I put my own seat.
Yeah, I remember that.
Correct. You put your own seat. So
And that is something too
what
that
happened? What happened? Because what did you do to cause it to happen? Or was it that just because the people knew of the work that you did?
Yes, I think mostly people from, let's say, who I had a contact with there, even if it was years
Absolutely.
after,
Yes.
and from social welfare. I think that is what, and let's say our liberated women. It was the first time that,
yeah.
you know,
Also,
and
Yeah.
they wanted to see a woman, so
Yeah.
I think those three factors were helpful in me being elected.
so you were saying.
And I'm still meeting people who I don't really know, who told me, "Well, Miss Vlaun, when you were there, I always voted for you." I don't know them from Adam.
Yes, but when you just in the United States right now, I know there's a big. This is also a big thing at the election, at the presidential campaign, with women. When it was Hillary Clinton, she didn't become president, but then now we have a vice president. What's her name again? The vice president of the United States of America.
Harris.
Yeah.
Kamala Harris.
It's a big thing that to get to. I would say to get a president of the United States, a woman, a prime minister. I mean, not president. Back in your days, when you were a council member of the then SPM, you said no, you didn't become the first council member because you said earlier that they were
No, she
before
did.
you.
She did become the first island council member.
First island council
She
member.
was not the first politician.
Okay, you were not a first
Female
politician,
politician.
but you became
First
the first
island council member.
female island council member.
That's correct.
And you also became the first female commissioner.
In
No, I don't think so.
Oh no.
No.
I think
Sarah Westcott. Sarah Westcott.
Yeah. No, but even before Sarah, you had
Oh,
Valerie.
Patsy.
Valerie Guinness
Yeah,
upon the
exactly.
Patsy.
Yeah.
They became the first. Yes,
Yeah,
Valerie
they were the
Guinness
first.
upon the and Patsy Flanders.
Yeah, that's true.
They were the
And then
first.
Sarah, yes.
Then
And
Sarah.
then you had and then also at that time you had also Millicent.
Yeah.
Millicent DeWeese.
But she was no commissioner.
Member of Parliament. No, but she was.
She won
also
for starting lit.
Yes, she ran for Parliament of the Netherlands Antilles, and she was also so at that time. So I just wanted to just bring that. So those were popular things because I know the voting population of St. Maarten as well as other countries are predominantly
Male-oriented.
female. You have
No female.
Female.
No female.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But the
But back in the days, it was male.
Male-oriented.
Yeah.
So I just wanted to just touch on that. So Jeffrey, you had a question you wanted to ask. I didn't want to.
No, I think she answered my question before I even asked it. I was asking the question of the fact that listening to all that you said this afternoon, about the negativity of politics and not being able to get certain things done in politics while you're there, what would be an advice you would give to young politicians that is aspiring to become, let's say, a parliamentarian in the future?
Well,
What
I
advice
said,
would you
know,
give them?
one of the things
You
is
said the Constitution.
Constitution.
Yeah, but the Constitution is not the only thing.
No, but secondly, I think you have to be able to work with each other and cooperate. I'm hearing people screaming about this and that and the other. If you find that the suggestion that I brought is not good and you have a better one, table
Present it.
Yes,
because
table it, correct.
the government is not DP, UPD, National Alliance. No, it's all of us.
That's true.
Correct.
So if you want to do something for your country and you feel you have a good idea
Absolutely.
and you get people to back you, table it. Put it on the table and say, okay, this is my contribution, this is what I would like to see. But not criticize me and then hide what you have. No. And wait until maybe you are
Minister.
a minister, whatever, and then come, I have this.
Exactly.
When it could have been done
Ego thing. Ego
long time ago.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
what I'm saying. This ego trip that
This
people
ego.
go on, right?
I got you.
That maybe it's not good for me to say it, but I like what happens, for instance, on some of these British islands. Once they're establishing something and it's good, even if another government takes over, it continues. It's
Yes,
not
yes, the
because
continuity,
you did
correct.
it, I'm pulling it back. No, it's good for the country, then let's continue with it. And I've seen it in different places. I've seen that happen.
Okay.
But we don't think like that. We don't think like that. If Elain presents something and it goes well, the minute Elain is out, Jeffrey wants to change it. No, it's not good for the island like that.
You see, like you said, I'm glad you mentioned that, Elain, because in talking about the British countries, the English countries in the Caribbean, they have what do you call it again, Jeffrey? They get the district voting system.
Yeah.
So you get elected from your district. That one seat is your
heart is
district.
more into it.
Yeah, so that one
In
seat.
your district, your
whether-
community.
Whether you get, it's another word they call it, I just forgot it. But in any case, it's not where one politician, he wins every voting district. So he became so almighty and powerful that he could or she could do whatever they want.
You run in one district.
You can only run in one district.
That's correct.
So in as much as you get 10,000 votes, and I get 100 votes over there, I get a seat for my district, you get a seat for your district. So it brings equality
Yes.
in governing. And that is something that could be probably a way to go in the future for us, so that it brings us on all equal playing field. Because if I'm from Middle Region and I run for Middle Region, I should be able to get elected in Middle Region and be able to represent specifically the country, but specifically also Middle Region. But you can imagine I'm running from Middle Region and then somebody coming from Cold Bay
in the larger picture, you're representing the whole country.
yes, correct.
I was just going to say
Focusing
that.
on what's wrong in your community and what has to be bettered.
Yep.
So you try to work towards that for your community.
Because there should still be that fact that you should be representing the total
Yes,
picture, the whole country.
exactly.
And that what our system has.
Yes,
That their system don't have.
Correct.
Because you can go to any one of those parliamentarians and tell them, look here, hey, I want to talk to you about whatever, because they're representing everybody.
Come back on
The
that.
verteke woorden king, maar de hele bevolking.
Correct.
Yeah.
Come back on that point, Elain, of let's say party politics, political party running for office, but then once Parliament is elected, you are 15 individual parliamentarians. Back in your days, when it was an island territory of St. Maarten, you had an island council, an executive council. I'm now talking primarily about the island council. I'm talking that for in your case, because I want to ask you your experience, because we see a lot of political parties in government opposition voting along party lines. Okay, have you ever had an experience, Elain, where a particular subject was being debated in the Island Council. That was placed, let's say a motion was tabled on something, or let's say even a law would be passed, or something would be presented by whomever. It could have been another person from another political party. Have you had a situation where your conscience said to you, this is the right vote to make on this, to vote for or against on something, but you were forced because of party lines to vote with the political party that you are affiliated with?
No, but actually, we used to sit down and caucus amongst each other in the meetings, even when the meeting was on.
With the entire Island Council, or just your party?
Yes, the caucus, but I know I used to be sending notes. I was not a speaker, because I'm a person, if you're going to have a speech with the points that I want to bring forward, why should I go and bring them forward anymore?
Oh, okay.
Correct. So
If I have one or two questions that were not asked, I won't even speak. I'll pass it on to the next time.
I understand. Okay, I got you. So then you can have this repetition of the same thing. Everybody be saying the same thing, which you have going on a lot of times now.
Exactly. But we would talk to each other, and Lenny and I used to often sit next to each other, and we would, tete a tete, and we tete a tete. Okay. And we never voted against your own party. We would vote against something from the other party. But sometimes it's not that you want to vote against it, but the manner in which it is presented. I'm a very funny person. I think about things and say, something wrong there. I don't trust it. And even though it might be a little scenario, because that and that and that.
Would you want to let an area of, let's say, whatever's presented that you want to come to everything?
Yeah.
Okay, because it's raining now. We're getting some rain here in Middle Region. It seems like it's only raining in Middle Region.
No,
No,
I want to know, what is your views on parliamentarians becoming independent? What is your view on it?
That long time.
Yeah, I want to hear your view on it.
My view is that no parliamentarian can be independent except someone who has put their own vote, their own seat.
No, I hear Julio Romney saying that. Unless you pull your own seat, then you can become independent.
Yes.
Besides that,
you can break from the party. Anytime you break from the party, you haven't pulled your seat.
You leave the seat there with the party.
And the seat there, and the next one gets it. I don't believe in this jumping ship.
Okay.
No. You only got that amount of votes. It was not a seat. The seat remained to the party. I can agree completely with people.
Got you. Yeah.
It will stop people from jumping ship and maybe become more serious.
Exactly.
It's messing up the whole country.
Yeah. 9 different factions.
Nobody knows where anybody is going.
No.
You have a way of your vision, you have your vision, I have my vision.
Everybody become everybody become their own individual island, and they do their own thing, and they become power players, which is, but but the sad thing about it, Elain, is that everybody who disagrees with it, not in their Jeffrey and I also about that. When they disagrees
with it when they're not in government. When they go in government, they leave it the way it is. So who's going to go in there and make a change? Who's going to make a change to it?
Reform, but a different type of people.
Yes.
A different type of
How you know before?
Mindset.
You don't know from before, but you're just hoping that someday you'll have some people there who will tell you. Even if it means that I am there and I didn't put my votes and I disagree with the party, well, we leave the party then.
But if you
or you say, I don't want to seat anymore because I don't agree with certain things, but I'll continue supporting the party.
I think if
you can say that.
Correct.
Yeah.
But I think if it's very
interesting.
I think if you want to see change about something, you got to keep talking about it. Not only talk about it, but it's convenient. Keep talking and talking and talking until people start to realize, wait a minute, this is really making sense, and then they themselves, they're conscious of a given point, will say, listen, this is the way we could, because who changes that? Parliament, the legislators.
Parliament.
It's the level of Parliament is where all of these reforms that we want to take place. That is where it will take place, but nobody
wants to take that vote.
But Roberto, you're going to have a difficult task because you heard what Auntie Elaine just said. That is the way we would like to see St. Martin or Parliament goes.
You said Auntie Elaine?
Yep, we call her Auntie Elaine.
You know, like you say that, what made me laugh is when you say, yeah, Auntie Elaine.
Honorable Auntie Elaine.
You made me think of also our leader, Auntie Sarah.
Yeah, but she's Auntie Elaine too.
So now,
Yeah.
why we are realizing, Jeffrey, I said that on this live stream, is that I gonna have two good advisors.
You got two advisors, exactly.
Coaching me because you can listen to her, listen to you. Both of you are on the same page, in terms of how you think. Like you said that, I'm gonna call 3 individuals, and I wanted you to tell me what was your relationship like with them. First, I'm gonna MP Sylvester Williams. Secondly, the late Vance James Jr., as well as MP William Marlin. I just picked, because we can talk about others, but these are 3 leaders of the political parties that you have had
But
experience
you forgot
with.
one more person.
What did I forget?
Captain Dennis Pantherford.
Okay.
I'm sure she knew Dennis Pantherford.
Dennis and I had a good relationship.
Okay,
Exactly.
as well. Dennis or Julie.
While my own commissioner and I didn't have any good relationship. Dennis Pantherford and I had a good
Say that again. What did you say?
relationship. My own commissioner and I did not have
So
a
you
good
didn't have
relationship.
good relationship with your own commissioner.
But I had a
But
good
you
relationship.
with Dennis Pantherford.
With Dennis
Yes.
Pantherford. So that's when you say your own commissioner. When you were the department head.
Yes.
And then good. You say you had, but then Dennis Pantherford was not your commissioner then.
No.
Yeah.
But you had a
No.
relationship with him.
Yes.
But who was your commissioner then?
I wouldn't call him.
Yeah, but then you got me trying to figure this out. Jeffrey got to figure
You
it
got
out.
a lot of people here looking at
You
you.
got me now thinking now, okay, because if you can say one, you got to say 2, because people could figure it out. Somebody's gonna say Elaine, you're referring to
Your namesake, your namesake.
Roberto, a Richardson.
I have here Iona.
Iona?
I have Iona Houtman.
Houtman?
Yeah, Annibal Gumbs. I know Annibal.
Hannibal, I know.
Yeah.
I know you. Listen, if I may, can I?
That's up to you.
So you're saying that you had maybe wrong, because a lot of Richardsons, and you're talking about the days of executive council.
Yes.
So you say you had a better relationship with Dennis Pantherford, who was a DP and a PDP while you were SPR, and you're talking about you had a better relationship with him than you had with your own commissioner, meaning your own political party.
No. That's my own political party. Same party as Dennis.
Yeah, okay. Yeah.
You're talking about
They would
Ebenezer.
bluntly say, don't worry with me.
You're talking about Ebenezer? No, Richardson?
That commissioner
Renee.
will tell you,
Oh, Renee?
don't worry with me.
Renee Richardson? Renee is my boy, Elaine. Renee is my boy.
We were friends. you know.
Renee is my boy. And
That's our family.
As a commissioner, I didn't have any support from him. Let me put it that
What?
way. As a person,
Okay, good friends.
Good friends.
Yeah.
You know, one of the things that I always admire about Renee is that, look, he's tough, but his yes is yes, and his no is no.
but by
For me.
No, by me, it was do your research and then talk.
That's what he will tell you.
No, I would tell him, do your research and then talk.
So before you make advice on something, you would tell the commissioner, do research.
No, I didn't tell him do it. But I would tell him, do it first. Because he would take a phone, call me, and riddle me off.
Oh, like that.
And everything was right in the office by him.
Okay.
So where that is concerned,
Wait, he
he
will
was
tell
very
you.
hasty or so, but blame me.
So then, you know,
Exactly.
I don't want to go there. I want to be very careful, because you kind of.
Why you don't want to go there?
But
You kinda-
otherwise,
no,
we were
not
friends.
not about this, because I kind of like when I'm hearing this story that you're saying, and I'll tell you this, Elain, I'm impressed and moved that you're able to speak so openly about certain situations because a lot of, and Jeffrey keeps saying it all the time, what do you always say?
I said, we suffer not because of the violence of bad people, but because of the silence of good people.
Good people don't
Our
speak
good
out.
people don't speak out. You're one of them that speaks out.
You just said
speak out.
about in this case, your experience, you said no, go. You said the information is there. Go research the information. Go in. You have the information. It's right there. Makes me think about what's going on right now in government. I ain't in government, but Maarten small. So everybody here, am I correct to say that? You hear, think people come by your house here, they tell you a lot of things even while you're not in the government building. But
Our time is up.
Jeffrey
Yeah.
says exactly this time for
Yeah, because after a while, people gonna start coming off.
Yes, but
People start coming off.
What time is it now?
It's now 2:39.
Okay, 2:39. So good.
Yeah.
So Elain, but in any case, we need to have another program with you if we can. If you would accept, Jeffrey will reschedule that with you because we touched on so many things. Because what we like to do with these programs, we like to make comparisons of how things were done in the past and how we can tie them together. And we realize, I like to always keep saying, look at there again. You have a deja vu. Sometimes you have a reenactment of some past politicians with the younger politicians. You see them behaving in the same way. Which sometimes can be very, 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 very unfortunate. But a quick question. One last question I'm going to ask you. This is the most difficult question. The most difficult question, Elain.
Answer.
And I gotta wrap it up there, and I gotta have Jeffrey give his closing remarks to you and close the program off. I'm going to ask you one last question, Honorable Icon Elain Gumbs Vlaun. And nobody, you have to answer to nobody. You have to answer to nobody right now where you're at. Politically, how would you rate the performance of this sitting government?
I don't want to rate it in numbers.
Okay.
But what I would like to say is that I'm glad that our government was able to stay there so long with all the ups and downs.
Okay.
It should be possible for a government to stay for the full period.
Yes.
People criticize a lot. I criticize.
Always, of course, you're gonna get that.
But then I
yes.
sit down and I think when I hear people talking, other people talking, I say, Elain, we had a COVID, we had a hurricane. Nothing could have been done in those years. Their hands were tied.
Yeah.
Okay, it's close to election, so everybody's going to say, no, all of a sudden they're working. It's not no, all of a sudden they're working. They have been trying. And a lot of things were not possible due to lack of finances and all whatnot. Okay? I'm not saying that they're doing a fantastic job, but they're doing a job according to the situation. And I think you have to give Jack their jacket. Not because I was part of that party or affiliated with that particular party in the past, but if it was another party, the same way. If you can't do because of circumstances, you cannot do. If you're trying now, too bad that it's closing up on another election. But just wait and see. Wait and see what's going to happen. Are they really going to work in these last couple of months, or are they just going to play politics?
And that's what you're saying, and I really appreciate your, how you outlined it, because we go back to Hurricane Irma in 2017 and the whole rebuilding of Hurricane Irma into right now where we're at. It's still
only
ongoing.
Now trying to catch yourself.
And then 2000, only now catching ourselves. And then the 2019,
2020.
2019,
2020.
2020, COVID.
COVID was 2020. As soon as they get them back home, COVID is.
Yes. So
and we were still reeling from Irma.
Hurricane Irma.
Yes. So you're basically saying what your response is basically.
So no tours are coming to St. Maarten.
No, you're rebuilding it. I understand what you're saying, and I really appreciate. You play the card on the table. You didn't play politics with it. You bring the facts. You bring the reality facts of where St. Maarten was then and where we are now, and you look at them as different components that cause, let's say, delay in being able to take decisions and such. And anyone who is viewing or live streaming can follow and say, hey, the Honorable Elain Gumbs Vlaun is making a great point there, and that is well accepted. I want to take this opportunity, Elain, to thank you very much for coming on the program with us, this Interact live stream. We are looking for series 2. We had Linda Richardson on, and we did 2 series with her because the same as you, we couldn't do one. No, we couldn't.
And Wally Haverton was 2.
And yeah, Wally has. We did 2 with
Wally Haverton.
With Linda or with Wally? It was with Wally.
Wally Haverton.
With Wally Haverton. With Wally Haverton, we did 2. Yes. Oh Lord, he was, man. We probably would have done three programs with him. But at your convenience, Jeffrey will be making contact with you to see where we can follow up, because we want to go into some specific areas with you in terms of your experience, where you would be able to indirectly make a contribution, advisory contribution to St. Maarten right now where we're at, especially in your field of profession. So I want to thank you very much for giving us the opportunity to be at your mansion here in Millridge, in our hometown Millridge, I think the butcher.
You were born right up the road.
Yeah, the butcher and the Yorks and the Rogers and the Chitticks and the, oh Lord, and the Brills, and you know that, right?
Yes.
Okay,
just like Brills in town too.
The Brills.
Next year, had Brills too.
But those Brills, but you said the Brills in town.
That Brill was of this Brill.
Yes, but so
the brother of this Brill.
So, but did they originate from Millridge or from Phillipsburg? I think they came from probably Millridge first.
That's possible, yes.
Okay.
So there were 2 brothers.
Yes, there were 2 brothers, yes. I never sure there were 2 brothers.
One was neighbor.
Next to your
Yes.
I remember that.
Neighbor across the street.
I remember that.
So great. So, Elain, thank you very much for giving us this time, this opportunity to talk with you. A lot of information was given, which we really appreciate, because this program is going to be archived. You yourself will get some opportunity to look it over again and critique yourself. Because you're going to be on again. It gives a lot of information to a lot of the young people, in those who are aspiring politicians and those who are sitting in government. So we want to thank you very much for that. I'm going to ask Jeffrey to do the honors and to any last remarks or questions you want to ask you, and then have him and you then interact and close off the program for today. So I thank all of you very much, and we look forward to seeing you on Wednesday evening, God's willing, at 7 p.m. when we bring to you another live stream broadcast of Interact. God bless you.
Well, I had the opportunity to view, I think it was an interview that you had with somebody in government just a couple of months ago.
A couple of weeks ago.
Months ago. I think it was months ago. They were talking about persons that make contributions to St. Maarten, and you were one of them that I listened to. I think it's months ago.
One from the government information.
I can't remember who it is. I think it's that Decom.
Yeah, not a couple of weeks ago. They ran it for about a month. So it's about 2 months ago.
Oh, because I remember the girl from Decom is a good Destiny, I think her name is the one that interviewed you. So I learned a lot from that interview. And this interview today was very strong. And you brought over some very, how should I say, difficult questions. Dennis Panther always say, no, you brought some difficult questions to her.
Okay.
Like Dennis always said, Dennis Panther, he always says, ask him all the difficult questions. He likes to answer difficult questions. And there was a lot of those difficult questions today. And I listened to them very carefully. But we have reached to the end of our program this afternoon. And we want to thank you very much.
Question there, what was that? But before you just close up, is there anyone particular that came on that you would want to make mention of before you make your closing remark?
Well,
maybe someone that you may want to mention.
I think she knows Antonio Aventurin, Iona Dorcarty,
okay,
Juliet Gibbs from Cahill.
Juliet, oh Lord, my girl.
Yeah, Sandy Arnaud. Sandy told me she know you very well.
Yes.
Arnaud.
She used to live in the back. She's in Aruba,
Yes. The Arnaud
yeah.
family.
Reginald Harberton. He lives in Aruba as well, but that's Wally, his
Yes,
son,
yes, Wally.
his eldest son. Dorothy Lake, I think it is. Dorothy worked with us also with government.
They're from,
Yeah.
They from
She's
Fort,
from
Fort William.
Fort William.
Yeah,
Fort William,
Yes,
exactly.
yes.
He was married to one of the same.
Brill. That's correct.
Okay,
That's
the
correct.
Dolphy.
Dolphy. Dolphy. Yeah.
Dolphy Brill, yes.
Shamara Valentina. Eva Cox from the French side.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, and you have Julian Chance. I think he is the son of Captain Leo Chance.
Leo Chance, yes.
Captain Leo Chance.
The slim one.
The one that
No, a thick one, a big one.
Big Daddy.
Big Daddy.
Big
I think
Daddy.
he lives in Colombia.
He lives in Colombia.
Okay, he lives in
Yeah.
Colombia. Okay.
Yeah.
Great.
Remy Jr., violinist, Albert Rochester, Judy Gumbs, Swinda Richardson, that's Jella.
Okay. good.
Ricardo Yates and Simran Martin. Those are all the persons that were on. And I would like to thank them, for coming on and viewing this particular program, which was very strong and powerful. We learned a lot from you, Tanti, Elain. We really appreciate you allowing us to come in your home and being able to have this program. And we hope that the other program will be even much better. So we thank you again.
I appreciate it also that you all chose me to
Yeah.
program,
Yep.
and I hope that the information I gave is of some
Wow,
value.
it was-
No, it is a lot of value.
I
Person's going to learn from this
Elain,
program.
I'll be honest, I don't want to say this open, I can tell you this. The Trust Fund has a lot of programs and projects that they're financing, and if you're a consultant, I believe that we can do well with you. So you may be considering that. I will want to recommend you as a consultant because this country needs you.
There are certain things that I feel should be done, and I'm sure
Absolutely.
other people feel that should be done.
Absolutely.
But we're going to need you in the
I'm always
future.
willing to help. I'm always
Yeah.
willing to help where those things are concerned. I'm willing to. You have a little group here in the region. I try to help them out. I haven't heard from them for a long time, but
Okay.
I tell them whenever there's something, let me know.
Okay, great. So again, thanks. I want to thank everybody for coming on. And we hope to see you on Wednesday at 7 o'clock, where we're going to bring you another Interact program between Roberto and myself. And we hope to have another program with Aunt Elain coming up soon. We're going to let you know for sure and give you information when she'll be on so that you'll be able to view her once more. Again, thank you. God bless you. And see you on Wednesday. Bye-bye.